Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahawashi, Bahasham, Barakahat Wadash, Barakatum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who ruled and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya with another video, and I'm going to start it off in Revelation chapter 9, verse 12, which, going forward, it seems a lot of videos I'll be doing are going to be starting off with this verse because these are the times we're living in. One woe or destruction is past, referring to World War I, and behold, there come two woes more hereafter, World War II, and of course, World War III, which as we can see is quickly coming upon us. You've got that situation in the Middle East with Israel, Hamas, now Hezbollah, Iran, Turkey, the United States of America, Russia, the list goes on and on. You've got that situation with China and Taiwan. Of course, you've got Russia's war in Ukraine, talks of nuclear weapons being used, etc., etc. We are living in the last days, really the last seconds of the last days, when World War III is going to take place, and it will go nuclear, and there also will be a draft. Hey, you average Americans out there are going to go die in foreign lands, and that's what I'll be dealing with in this video. This is a clip from Redacted's YouTube channel titled, "They Won't Draft Me for War. Gen Z freaks out over Biden military draft." And as we'll see in this video, you have a bunch of people in the Gen Z generation talking about how they're not going to go fight, fuck all that. But according to biblical prophecy, hey, people, especially you Americans, are going to go fight off in those wars. Hey, you're going to get drafted and you're going to die. This is 2nd Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 16, verses 33 to 34. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. Hey, a lot of lonely women out here mourning. Why? Verse 34, in the wars, World War III, war against Iran, shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. Hey, once these cataclysmic events of Jacob's trouble really get kicking off, hey, a lot of men are going to perish during it, getting drafted to go fight over in the Middle East for World War III or any other battlefields that are going to pop up. And over here in the United States of America, there's going to be an economic collapse, food shortages, civil unrest, martial law, which is going to see a lot of men die on the streets of America. Hence why there's going to be a lot of lonely, unprotected women out here, which a lot of you women, especially in the U.S. and just in the West in general, are wicked, and a lot of you are going to be put to death as well. And hey, don't be surprised when you women start getting drafted to go fight over in those wars, because not only are there talks of reinstating the draft for men in the U.S., but hey, there was a vote that was voted on, but it didn't go through, talking about adding women to the selective service or the draft. But as the situation continues to deteriorate and things really get dire out here and more draconian measures are passed, hey, everybody is going to have skin in the game for these wars that are coming. But let's get back to this video. And this is a fair use copyright disclaimer. I do not own any of the footage in this clip, nor do I stand to gain from it monetarily. It is simply for educational purposes. And I'm going to play about the first 5 minutes or so and jump around a little bit in this video.
Well, leftists are terrified of being drafted into war. Oh, the irony, the very same young leftists that voted overwhelmingly for the warmongering, child-sniffing Joe Biden are now terrified that their man in the White House is going to draft them to go to war. and fight on his behalf. They're telling Biden basically on social media, go F yourself. Are they having buyer's remorse? According to Zero Hedge, over the past few weeks, searches for military draft and military draft age have been skyrocketing on Google Trends. So I confirmed this today. I went on Google Trends and to see what is the search volume right now for young people who are pretty darn concerned that they are about to be drafted. So here's the military draft age as a search query. Look at this. People searching military draft age to find out, am I going to be drafted? Look there on the right side of your screen. This huge spike in these in this.
If you want to get a glimpse into how bad things are going to get, just look over at Ukraine. They've lost so many military age men fighting in that war against Russia that they're bringing in elderly men, men in their 40s and up. And now they're talking about bringing in women onto the front lines too.
Search query. And then here's another one. The term military draft, just military draft people are searching for. Huge spike in search terms. And of course, we can see by geography and age range as well where and who these people are. By the way, keep this up on your screen. Do you notice anything interesting about this chart? If you look at the huge spike to the left there, just like like a few quadrants over to the left there. Well, that was January of 2020. So I dove deeply into that. I'm like, why in January of 2020 were there so many concerns about a military draft and military draft age? Well, that's because tensions between the United States and Iran had increased following the assassination by the Trump administration.
And I remember that. I did a video on that on one of my other pages, how after Qasem Soleimani was assassinated during Donald Trump's presidency, that a lot of Americans were scared about World War III kicking off and them getting drafted. You had a lot of hashtags, the draft, Iran, World War III, and then you had a lot of you simple niggas out there making TikToks joking about going and getting drafted. Well, hey, once that real draft finally does come, a lot of you on the front lines are going to be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans who are the true children of Israel. And hey, a lot of you Northern Kingdom, you so-called Latinos coming across the southern border, hey, a lot of you are going to get a flak jacket put on you, a ballistic helmet, an assault rifle thrown in your hands, and you're going to go die like a dog in a ditch in a foxhole over in that Middle East.
Of Qasem Soleimani, of course, the Iranian military leader, who was looking to basically normalize relations and create sort of one united Muslim front, which was a huge threat to the United States. A Muslim front, in the Islamic world that are all united, setting aside differences between Shia and Sunni, and all coming together was a huge threat, of course.
And we're seeing that happen right now with this whole situation between Israel and Hamas and, those Palestinians on the Gaza Strip. You're having Sunni and Shia Muslims all over the Arab world uniting in solidarity with the Palestinians against the Israelis.
To the United States, and we took them out. And of course, then Americans were like, oh shit, are we going to war with Iran? Better find out if I'm going to be drafted. Because the last time we had a draft was 1972. It's not, like World War II. As people who don't understand their history, it's not like it's way back in ancient history. No, it was in the 70s, for crying out loud. This is, fairly recent history in the United States. And now we're on the doorstep again of Iran and perhaps war. So people are doing the search for, people doing the searching are Generation Z, people in their early 20s, right? It's like you were born in like 1997, or if you were born after 1997, basically. So people in their early...
And Generation Z, what has the letter Z in it, which is the last letter of the alphabet. And they got Generation Alpha, which are talking about afterwards, but this is truly looking like, that last generation before the kingdom of heaven is established. And Generation Z is full of a bunch of, wicked sodomites, whores, weirdos, just a culmination of all the wicked shit from all these other generations, from the boomers to the Gen X to millennials all down. It's like all their worst traits have been concentrated in Generation Z.
20s who voted for Joe Biden. Huge reason that he won the election. Here's NBC News. The 2020 election shows Gen Z's voting power for years to come because they dominated it. Generation Z.
Because Joe Biden seemed like the best candidate. He was going to bring normalcy back to America, equality, all that bullshit. But look, he's a president that's heavily getting America involved in these foreign conflicts all across the planet, which, for one, voting doesn't matter, and it doesn't matter who's president because presidents aren't elected, they're selected. They're all going to go on board with the agenda. But it's funny seeing, people thinking, especially Sleepy Joe's going to make a difference just by the fact that he's an out and out boy lover, child lover, and a warmonger.
Are currently between the ages of 8 and 23 played a significant role in both of these records for President Biden. NBC exit polls suggest that 65% of those between the ages of 18 and 24 voted for Biden, 11% more than any other age group. So Gen Z loves President Biden. Well, now Gen Zers are taking to social media, posting videos on how Biden can go F himself. And if they think...
And at the end of the day, whatever the results of the 2024 election are, hey, if we even, successfully get through that, whether Biden's reelected or Trump's reelected, hey, we're going to war. Whatever president is sitting in office is going to bring us to war against Iran, whoever, and it's going to play into the bigger battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon, the main part of World War III in Joel chapter 3. And the United States Army, a lot of you people out there are going to get drafted into the military, are going to go fight and die over in that desert. This is Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 20. Wait a second. Oh, Joel 2, verse 20. This is Joel chapter 2, verse 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, the North American Army, the United States military, all branches, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, etc., and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, like a desert, that Middle Eastern region, really Western Asia, with his face toward the East Sea and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. And the main staging ground for World War III is going to be Saudi Arabia, which the U.S., has a presence in. And towards the east of Saudi Arabia, that East Sea, what do you have? The Persian Gulf. And above that, Iran. And behind Saudi Arabia, or that hinder part toward the utmost sea, what do you have? The Red Sea. And above that, you have the land of Israel, Syria, which the U.S. has a presence in, Lebanon, etc., and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he had done great things, a great slaughter of U.S. military personnel in that Middle Eastern region during the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Hence, why the virgins are going to mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women are going to mourn, having no husbands, and the daughters are going to mourn, having no helpers, because they were destroyed in the wars. Whether volunteering to go fight, or in a lot of cases getting drafted, because, there's a lot of sentiment out there amongst, Americans and Gen Z and, in the millennials or whatever, that don't want to go and fight in these American wars, because they're waking up to the fact that they're just banker wars, they're corporate wars, they're wars for resources, which they say the cover story is to bring democracy and women's rights and safety to America. But with these wars that have taken place over the decades, from the war in Afghanistan all the way up until today, can you truly say the situation in America has gotten better or deteriorated? It's deteriorated, People don't care about that flag, that Constitution, like they did during the World War II generation or even the Vietnam generation. People don't want to fight and die for nothing.
Think we're going to be drafted. We will not be drafted. We'd rather go to prison, right? Because here's what it would mean for these people. Failing to register for the draft or join the military as directed is a felony, punishable by a fine of up to $250,000 or a prison term of up to 5 years or a combination of both. So some even saying, hey, we'd rather go to prison for 5 years.
And things are going to get so bad out here to where, hey, even if you do go to prison with some of the draconian measures they're going to pass, hey, you're going to have an option. Get a bullet in the back of the head or go and get drafted and fight and take your chances over there. They ain't just going to... This country is already, the U.S. dollar is in a state of inflation, which is quickly getting a hyperinflation. The economy's on the verge of collapse, and and food shortages are coming. So do you think these prisons are just going to be able to take an influx of people and let them, just eat and chill and Netflix in prison and have a good time? No, they're going to need as many warm bodies as they can to go fight in those wars.
Get free food, have our clothing taken care of, rather than being...
Hey, during World War II, the Soviet Union had something called penal battalions, where they would take men out of prison, they'd throw a uniform on them and send them to the front lines. And you're seeing similar things happening over in Ukraine right now, and really in any, war that goes on for a long time. They've run out of able-bodied military-age men, so they got to start scraping the barrel and getting anybody they can to go fight on the front lines.
Shot at in a war zone. This is watch this Gen Zer.
Okay, so 5 years of rent-free living, free food, and no responsibilities versus being immediately obliterated by an AK-47 the moment I set foot on that battlefield. And that's if they can catch me, because you think, this draft occurs, I'm headed for the hills, baby. I know a place. It has everything I could possibly need, except for electricity and
And hey, don't matter if you a prepper, several forms of martial arts, you're the ultimate survivalist. If you're not of the elect of the nation of Israel in the United States of America, you're not going to make it. And a lot of you people are going to go into those hills and those mountains, and that's going to be your final resting place. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 15. I'm going to read verses 57 to 58. Thy children shall die of hunger. Famine's coming, and thou shalt fall through the sword. Hey, either dying here in the United States of America during martial law, a state of civil unrest, these race wars which are coming, all that. Thy cities shall be broken down, just chaos erupting in cities all across America, and all thine shall perish with the sword in the field. Verse 58, and hey, on top of that, you getting drafted to go fight and die. Verse 58, they that be in the mountains, going up into the woods, going up into the hills to your bug out locations, shall die of hunger, because this ain't gonna be no short thing. Hey, once Jacob's trouble really kicks off, it's gonna keep going until those missiles hit. Hey, you don't have enough preps to survive that long. And even then, there are going to be other people with the exact same idea going into those mountains, going into those hills, going into those woods. And hey, they're going to be fighting against other preppers. Have prepper wars out here. They that be in the mountains shall die of hunger, and eat their own flesh, and drink their own blood, for very hunger of bread and thirst of water. And hey, it's going to get so bad out here with these food shortages that people are going to start cannibalizing each other. Hey, some people are going to start dining on their own arms and legs. So again, if you're not of that elect number of the nation of Israel, you have no hope.
Service, which is going to be perfect because you won't be able to find me. Do I look like somebody who the authorities are going to be chasing after, hunting down because they need me? They need me to grab an assault weapon and go try to save people's lives? Are you kidding?
And like it says in Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, a man's gait and, excessive laughter and attire sheweth what he is. And without saying it, you can see what kind of spirit this Edomite is coming in, which is the case with a lot of you Gen Zers and, a growing number of you just Americans in general out here. You're coming in that Sodom and Gomorrah spirit, which, makes sense because in Revelation 11, verse 8, it says that the United States of America, that great city, is known as spiritual Sodom and Egypt.
Talk about a liability. Go find those people who are so like pro Second Amendment and wear like freaking American flag thongs and all that shit. Like, go find them. They have a concealed carry anyway. They know what they're doing. They've done the classes. Go find them. You don't want me fighting for this country. I promise you that. And you know it's true.
Okay, those people who are pro Second Amendment and wear MAGA hats didn't vote for Joe Biden.
Another Gen Zer,
and by the way, President Trump, another guy, here's another Gen Zer who says Gen Z.
And refusal to be drafted and go fight in the wars to come.
He's not getting drafted. He said it's not going to happen. And he's like, it doesn't make any sense. Watch.
Why is everybody saying Gen Z is going to get drafted? Like, no the fuck we're not. And you know why I know that? Like, how are they going to actually force us to get up and go to war? I understand it was like that in like the 1940s. What else is there to do in 1940 besides shoot people? We have things to do nowadays. We have twerk, be bisexual, eat hot chip, bye.
We have twerk. We got better things to do like being bisexual. Hey, that's the spirit of Gen Z, and again, a lot of you Americans out here that fun boy, that Dwight Howard spirit. So even when a lot of you people get drafted, you're going to be subpar soldiers. There was an Edomite who I believe he was a former Navy SEAL who did a video talking about how our warrior class, our warrior breed is dying off because with each successive generation, they're just getting weaker and weaker, which, it talks about that in the scriptures, and they don't have that same patriotic mindset. And, they're blurring the lines between what a true warrior is as compared to what the media likes to show what a warrior is. And then you've got another guy who has a YouTube channel. He was a former Marine. His name is Jameson Travels, and he documents the downfall, of the standards and just the quality of soldiers in the U.S. military, which, let's go to Jeremiah 51, verse 30. The mighty men of Babylon, that virgin daughter of Babylon, Babylon the Great, the United States of America, have forborne to fight. They have remained in their holds. Men not wanting to go and fight in these wars. We're seeing this sentiment among these clips with these Gen Zers saying we refuse to go to war. And then you've got a lot of people, that are actually in the military that didn't join the military to go and fight. They joined to go and go to college, make a life for themselves. It was just a stepping stone to a better opportunity in their life. So a lot of these Americans out here are just not in that spirit of going and fighting in these wars. They want to remain in their holds. Their might hath failed. The death of the warrior class in America, as that Edomite was talking about, the quality of soldiers today are much less of the quality of soldiers back during World War II, even Vietnam. They became as women, that weak-natured spirit out here, which, as we're seeing with those two Gen Zers, they just got that very limp-wristed, that S and G spirit on them. And then even in the military, the U.S. military, you've got a growing number of transformers, using that government money to get those rearrangement surgeries, like Mr. Potato Head, getting certain parts taken off and new accessories added to them. They have burned her dwelling places. Her bars are broken. That's talking about the ultimate destruction of the United States of America by those 200 million nuclear missiles shot onto it, which are going to turn it into the biblical lake of fire from sea to shining sea, and then a desolate, uninhabitable wasteland. afterwards.
And we're also like really mentally ill. I have like 6 of these. What makes you think I'm qualified to have a gun? Like within 600 feet of anybody, including myself. And finally, like guns are like so tacky. Can you imagine just like pulling up with a gun? Like that is so fucking embarrassing. Like what is this? The Revolutionary fucking War? No. Let's just talk. There's no need for all the like
Hey, they might have failed them. Hey, the mighty men of Babylon. We can see that with each generation, they're just getting weaker and weaker to where you got individuals like this running around who take everything as a joke, who think that just because you can go to Starbucks and buy an overpriced latte, or you can go be a bisexual on the weekend, hey, the whole world is in that mindset. They're just in that fun, have a good time mindset. When these other nations out here, the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, hey, they're getting geared up because they know that a world war is coming, and they know that, hey, the chances of it becoming nuclear are high, which it is going to happen. So they're preparing themselves, mentally and physically for it.
no. No.
Feel safer now.
That's it with that clip. But hey, as it says, they won't draft me for war. Gen Z freaks out over Biden military draft. Generation Z leftists are terrified of being drafted for war. It doesn't help that you're terrified, because, hey, a lot of you will be drafted and you're going to go die a humiliating, miserable death over in some foxhole somewhere. But that's it with this video. With this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. We are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babol, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.